Hello and welcome back to Particular Pixels. I'm Xiaoling and this is my review of Motortown Behind the Wheel Early Access. I've had my eye on this game since it was initially released in Early Access in December 2021, something like that. I didn't have time back then, so I briefly checked out the demo and I guess that was about it. However, recently I've had time to put in around 50 hours into the game, and here are my thoughts. Motortown is at its core a relaxing driving simulator where you explore an island and level up various jobs, earn money, buy your own cars and upgrade them. After creating a character, you are dropped into the game, given the Stinger as a free car, and are introduced to some of the game's basic mechanics. You pick up a hitchhiker, take them where they want to go, you use a taxi, pick up a passenger, take them where they want to go, drive a bus route, drop off a few passengers. And after this, you are pretty much free to choose whichever path you want to use to earn cash. There are currently 4 main jobs in the game connected to 4 specific skills. So delivery, which connected to the truck level, which involves delivering goods to the various residential locations and the warehouses. Taxi, which is taxi level requirement, which has you picking up passengers around the map and taking them to specific locations. A bus driver level, which has you driving a bus and picking up passengers on certain bus routes and just dropping them off. And there's also a wrecker, which was a newly added profession, which has you picking up broken down cars and delivering them to workshops, or using a sort of a flatbed car carrying truck thing, which has you picking up cars and taking them to dealerships. These respective professions are leveled up by doing the jobs in them. So for every completed job, you awarded a bunch of XP for that particular type of job and some cash. And as you level up, you'll unlock better cars in that profession, which have the potential to earn you more cash. For example, you'll start out in a tiny taxi in the taxi profession, and you'll eventually unlock the ability to drive a limousine, which has far more earning potential. When you start the game, you'll only have a sports car, and you'll need to loan cars from the bus stations, taxi stands, or the various warehouses to do these jobs, since you are going to be unable to afford your own car at that point, since you don't start with any money. The plus side of this is that you won't have to pay for fuel or repairs in the event that those things need to be done. But the downside is that the owner of the vehicle, in this case the AI, is going to take a cut of your earnings, a percentage. And that percentage can be quite big depending on what vehicle you are choosing to use. Once you have some cash to spare, you can rent cars from the various dealerships around the map instead. And as soon as you can do this, I'd recommend doing it. This is a more profitable way to do it than the above method, since you are charged a flat rate every 10 minutes as opposed to losing a percentage of your entire income. So as long as you are actually doing runs, you will be earning more profit. The downside, of course, besides not earning your full potential with both of these, is that you can't customize or upgrade these cars. So you probably will want to save up and eventually buy your own car. The cars themselves can be quite pricey depending on what you plan on buying, but start off small and you'll eventually be able to afford better vehicles. After my time playing with the game, I own a number of vehicles, and none of them are fully upgraded yet, since upgrades can be pretty costly. But between them, I can make a decent income depending on which jobs I choose to do. And because I have a variety of different vehicles, I can chop and change between different jobs if I need to change things up. There are also a fair amount of upgrades that can be applied to each of these vehicles: engine upgrades, radiator, suspension, brakes, tires, hubcaps, and paint, along with a few of the other things. So it is nice if you do want to customize your cars more. I do wish though there were more visual customizations instead of just changing the colors of the cars, but I guess that's going to come at a later stage. The island itself is not massive, so it won't take long before you become familiar with it and start finding the best routes around, since the GPS doesn't always seem to provide the most optimal routes for certain deliveries. There are plenty of locations to pick up and deliver passengers or cargo to and from. In fact, you can even deliver a certain type of item to a warehouse and have it become another item which you can take to another location. So for example, taking sand from a construction site and then taking concrete back, or logs from a forest to a sawmill and then having planks to take to a warehouse somewhere on the map. The island itself feels pretty alive. There are plenty of cars driving around, some slowly and others more recklessly, and loads of passengers waiting around at various collection points. Although all the waiting passengers are not really animated, they just kind of stand there, so hopefully some animations are added to give it a little bit more life in that respect. There are police as well, so if you speed, drive on the wrong side of the road, or you have collisions, they are going to see you and they're going to come after you and give you a fine. You can outrun them depending on what car you're driving, but if you do try to outrun them and you get caught, you end up paying a larger fine. The game also has a day and night cycle, and honestly, despite the game looking quite cartoony, the scenery can be quite good at times, especially in the evenings in the cities or during sunset and sunrise. The game is multiplayer as well, so you can host or join a server with a number of other players. It plays pretty much the same, with the exception that other players can use your cars and that you as the owner of the car get a cut of the profits. But then you are also going to have to pay for fuel or repairs, as far as I understand. Or you can drive a police car and chase down unruly players. As to be expected, different servers have different rules depending on the host, so needless to say, if you are going to join and cause trouble, you'll probably just get banned. The players overall, though, in the community so far that I've seen on the servers that I've played on are very friendly and very helpful in the event that you do have any questions, which is nice. Currently, however, the game does suffer from a few issues that come to mind, and I do want to reiterate though that the game is still in early access, so some of these concerns will likely be sorted over time, or all of them. Of course, I don't know at this point. The first issue is job balance. I think that some of the jobs clearly have more earning potential, so while they are all enjoyable to do, some are going to require far more effort and more time in order for less payout, which struck me as a little bit odd. So I would like to see a little more balance in the earning potential between the jobs. And I think this will add the choice to switch up jobs if you want to change and not feel like you are being punished for doing so. Another issue is that the game may seem a little bit grindy for some people. It takes a long time to get money, and the cars and the upgrades cost a lot, as I alluded to earlier. And while this wasn't an issue for me because I can drive for hours in Euro Truck without any problem, and I myself find the gameplay loop very enjoyable, not everyone is going to like this, especially if you don't have the patience for it. For example, if you just want to hop in, get a nice sports car or leisure car upgraded and then speed all over the island, you are actually not going to be able to do that until you spend some time doing these jobs that perhaps you don't want to do in order to save up some cash. The AI driving can also have issues where the driving is pretty erratic. They'll start and stop for random reasons, or they'll indicate where the road actually turns and such, so it's kind of strange. So hopefully this gets fixed. There are several bugs and glitches as well, physics issues where cars bounce into the sky after being collided with by other cars, passengers standing up inside cars, or just walking into the side of your car when you try to exit a vehicle. And finally, optimization. This is probably the most egregious thing that I came across. It's not great, and the developer needs to put more time into this. The visuals and performance don't match up. I would not have expected this game to perform so poorly. I'm running on an i7-12700K with 32 gigs of RAM and an RTX 3080, and on Epic settings I only managed to get 60 frames a second at 1440p and 1080p. Cinematic mode, which is the setting up from Epic, tanks the frame rate completely. Setting it on high gives me a little more performance without too much of a visual loss. But I think that those with lesser machines are perhaps going to run into some performance issues with the game. So I do hope that the developer is going to spend some time optimizing the assets and the engine and such. None of these issues though are game breaking, but they do detract from the immersion, and I expect that these are going to be sorted out over time. Also, one big disappointment was that the game doesn't currently support head tracking. The developer has said that it would be added during the course of development, but the game came out nearly a year ago and there's still no word on whether that's going to happen anytime soon or not. And look, this is not going to affect those playing in third-person perspective, but it does make a huge difference, or it will make a huge difference to those playing in cockpit mode like me. There are some workarounds or using mouse emulation via the head tracking software and such, but it is finicky and certainly not ideal. But if you have the patience, you can probably find a solution to get this to temporary kind of sort of work until the feature is officially added to the game. All in all though, I've had a fantastic time with Motortown behind the wheel. This is probably the longest stretch of time I've had my wheel attached to my desk without removing it. The game is very relaxing, it's very addictive, and I did find myself wanting to go back and play it frequently. In fact, I'll likely go back and play some more after having recorded this video. The game has an incredible amount of potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. It is made by a solo developer who I think has one artist working with them, so it's impressive in itself, but that does mean I think that updates are going to be on the slow side. For those of you who are interested in following the development, there is a Trello link I'll put in the description below so you can see what is being worked on, what is potentially being worked on, and such like that. For the asking price though, in my mind it's a no-brainer. I highly recommend the game. However, as I said earlier, if you don't like relaxing driving games, things like Euro Truck, you're probably not going to enjoy this as much, and maybe this game is not for you. If you do love Euro Truck and those types of games, Motortown is also going to scratch that itch absolutely fine. There is a demo available if you are unsure. It does have some limitations, but it's certainly worth downloading and having a look at if you are curious in any shape or form about this particular game. Anyways, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about Motortown at this point. It's good, and it's definitely worth checking out. I hope some of you found this video helpful. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, just let me know in the sections below. Thanks for watching. I've been Charling, and I'll see you guys next time.